It's time for segment 5. Here's a way to help you determine how processed a food is. Take a bite of a saltine cracker and put it in your mouth. What's going to happen? It's going to melt. What about a kidney bean? If you put that in your mouth, nothing's really going to happen. That tells you that it's much less processed, it's going to stay in your system longer, and you're going to be much more satisfied. So try to look at that concept and choose less processed foods. Have you thought about whether or not you want to set a goal for yourself? Goals need to be very specific and they need to be small. So for instance, if you say, I want to add one more vegetable every day, or I want to add one more fruit, that's great. How about adding an extra glass of water? Very specific and in most cases very doable. Do you want to challenge yourself to try something new? What about black bean brownies? What about guacamole with your eggs? I challenged myself to guacamole with eggs and I really liked it. It took me a while before I was actually ready to do that, to challenge myself, but I did. And I'm happy that I did. It keeps it interesting. So think about, do you want to set a small goal for yourself? Do you want to set a challenge? Here's a couple more portion distortions for you. 20 years ago, popcorn was 270 calories. 20 years later, that same portion was 630. 20 years ago, chicken stir fry was 435 calories, and now 865. Big, big difference. Let's do the check-in. Look at the check-in sheet and take a moment to reflect. This week's handouts are going to be what is my level of hunger and my level of fullness, as well as a recipe for black bean brownies. So let's get started on level of hunger and level of fullness. Many times we eat for reasons other than that we're hungry. Let's think about when we might eat when we're not hungry. Are we bored? Are we stressed? Are we tired? If we check in with our level of hunger, that may help determine whether or not we actually go and get something to eat. So if we're going to take a look at the hunger and fullness scale, at a level of 0, someone is painfully hungry, and a level of 10 is painfully full. Now, I don't think anybody wants to be at either one of those levels. Where do we want to be? Well, in this country, we typically stop eating at a level of 7. And if we're at 7, we are comfortably satisfied, which probably will work for most of us. But it's interesting because in Europe, they finish eating at a level of 6, which is a slightly full stomach. I'm not sure which one's better, 6 or 7. So take a look the next time you have something to eat. What is your level of fullness? If you are full after a meal, typically you've overeaten. So that level of fullness will help determine when we stop eating, and that level of hunger may determine whether or not we're going to eat anything at all. So if someone brings in some cookies or crackers or cheese to the office, are we really hungry? So think about that, level of hunger and level of fullness. Now what's also important as we eat is that we try to be mindful, intentional eating. Are we thinking about our food as we're eating it? And in many cases we aren't. If we don't eat mindfully, we might overeat because we haven't realized what we've already consumed. So think about mindful eating. If you've ever done any reading about mindful eating, oftentimes they will tell you to make sure that the TV's not on, or you're not on your telephone or reading a book. But sometimes we just want to be doing those things. And so be mindful while you are eating. Savor your food choices, chew it, enjoy it, think about it, because it takes about 15 minutes until we're satisfied. So level of hunger, level of fullness, mindful, intentional eating. Think about that over the course of the next week. And I hope that you will find that to be helpful. I can tell you that I have been doing the intentional eating and that level of fullness for the last couple of years. And that level of fullness has gotten me to stop eating on many, many occasions because I don't want to feel overfull. It's just not a good feeling. So have a great week. Enjoy the ride as you're eating healthier, and contact me if you have any questions. Bye.